I married at a very early age, had 2 daughters. My husband was in the service, and when he was discharged from the service, and it had to be his first day home. The kids were running around. I had 2 little girls. They were running around, and he yelled at one. They were doing something, and he yelled, and I kind of snapped back and I said, you know, don't talk to her that way. And he said, well, who are you talking to? I said, I'm talking to you. Don't yell at her like that. And the next thing I know is he took his hand, slapped me across my face. And distinctly, I had the iron in my hand and I was ironing, and I just did a reaction, and the iron hit him on his chest. And the next thing I know is I saw his fist go all the way back and came toward me, punched me right in the face. He punched me with such force that I flew across the bed and I landed like right by the dresser. The next thing I know, he came over to where I was, and all I could see was his army boot coming toward me, and he stomped me right there. That was the first time he ever hit me, the first time that I ever experienced any type of domestic situation, but it kind of scared me so bad. I mean, I was like in shock, just totally afraid, and he just had that power over me. And you don't want the kids to see, you know, you at your worst point. And so you try to conceal a lot. You try to hide things from your family, because you don't want them to know what you're really going through. There's only one time that he actually like hit me, that very first time he hit me in the face. And then one time he hit me right between the eyes, and all this swole up. But usually he would hit me places where you couldn't see. I just lived with my secret, and he became more and more controlling. The first time, or the first few times that I left and I took the kids with me, he tormented my family so bad. It's either just calling, talking to them on the phone, and everybody was upset. My mother was upset, my grandmother, my grandfather. I went to a girlfriend's house, but then he tormented the family and everything. And I ended up going back home, and then he went to jail. And when he went to jail, that was like, well, that was my time. I don't know how I even got in because of his background and his baggage, but it just changed my whole life. I was living Arlington Heights up in the projects. My husband, he was a felon. He was in jail at the time, and I was just empowered that I could kind of take care of myself and didn't have to be afraid. And at one point, he talked, whatever prison he was in, he talked to counselors about being able to get a furlough, and it was supposed to be to get his family together or something like that. He came home. I didn't even know that he was out or anything like that. He knocked on the door, and I looked through the peephole and saw him, and it's like I got scared all over again. I lived on the first floor. I went to lock the window, and he pushed the window in, and like he was just coming through the window. So at that time, I had, maybe within that week, we received our firearms, and I ran and grabbed my firearm, and I was standing in the living room, and I was standing there like that with my firearm, and he was just getting ready to step through the window, and he saw me, and I said, "Don't come in here." So whatever expression was on my face, I don't know if it was the gun in my hand or expression on my face, he just put his foot back out the window, and he stood out there and he called me every name in the book, but he didn't come through that window. And his cousin was with him. Him and his cousin, they walked out of the court, and he was calling me all kind of stuff, but he didn't come into that window, and he didn't bother me anymore. This is my 39th year with Pittsburgh Bureau of Police, and I love it today as I loved it when I first stepped out of the academy on the street. It's been such a rewarding career, and I've always had a passion for women and children because they are the most vulnerable. They are the ones who are victimized the most. When you're in a situation to where it's you and your abuser, and you don't want anybody else to know, or your family or your co-workers or anything, you may have nothing other than the Women's Center and Shelter to go to for help, for relief. The shelter gives you an opportunity to breathe. They can bring you in, bring your kids in, and give you services, give you counseling, tell you you're not the only one who's gone through this or who's going through this, that, you know, that they're there to help you, and these are some of the things that you can do, but the decisions are all yours. That's the thing, there's no magic to it. It's like the shelter provides the services, they provide the resources, and it's up to the woman to decide, I'm not going to be a victim anymore.